everyone, and welcome to the Untold, your show where we interview and meet new people every single episode, right?
Yes. Every single episode.
Yeah,
right?
every single episode.
I mean, sometimes we repeat some few guests.
Yeah,
because
if they have a lot of things to
they
say.
have a lot
yeah.
to say.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Have you ever explored the world of sign language?
Not really. Maybe when I'm angry.
When you
Like I would use my face and like,
not that kind of sign language, but proper sign language.
proper sign language. I think I've seen a few videos like how to say love, like L or whatever. like-
Spelling it out.
yeah,
Okay.
spelling and whatever.
Have you ever watched a show called Switched at Birth?
Yeah, I think so.
It's all about sign language. That's where I got interested into sign language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Today our guest is a sign language expert.
An educator, an
Educator.
author,
And,
series of books, children and for adults.
and a good sense of humor as well.
He is quite the character.
He is. So let's meet our guest.
Yes, right
Right
after
after the
this.
So we're back again with our guest, Badr Abdulatif Aldookhi. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Untold.
Thank you for having me here.
Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. We haven't talked about this before. Sign language.
Yeah.
But before we talk about this, talk about yourself, introduce yourself, and tell us about who you are.
Who am I?
Who am
A very interesting question, isn't
am I?
it?
Sorry?
A very interesting question.
I'm just a regular person.
Just a regular person.
Just a human being.
Let's start with what you studied, what you majored in, and more. Let's start with what you studied and majored in, but more importantly, why you decided to study what you studied.
First of all, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go to the States and study psychology.
Psychology.
I don't know which branch of psychology.
Okay.
And when I was learning English in an institute, there was a teacher. One day, she was signing. I don't know what signing was. You know.
Okay.
I just saw her moving her hand and talking to a young lady.
Young lady.
Using
So I
sign language.
Sign language, yeah.
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 So I was watching them for a while.
Like, what are they doing?
I didn't know what's
Yeah,
going on,
yeah.
until she finished. So I asked her, I know her name, Miss Judy. I told her, I asked her, what is that? She said, oh, this is my sister, and she's deaf, and we're signing.
Yeah.
We're talking
Sign language.
I said, oh, wow, okay, that's interesting. So what? She started telling me about her life with her sister and talking in sign language. And it happened that if you, like 2-3 kilometers or a mile, whatever it is, there's the Gallaudet University, which is the only deaf school university in the world. And I asked her, if we can have a field trip. And she
A
said,
field
yeah,
trip?
sure, field trip. Yeah, so we packed into our cars and we went to,
You went to the school.
Gallaudet University.
Nice.
And when we walked in, there was silence. That's what really draws you, that you don't hear anything. We went to the cafeteria. There's sounds, but it's not like a regular university where people talking and utensils dropping and all of this noise. There was nothing. And that's what really, I felt awe in there, And that's what I decided I want that field.
It
You
got your
want that
attention.
field, got your
Sorry?
attention.
It got your attention.
Yes. And so I went to George Washington University and studied special education.
Special education.
And then I came back here, worked in the Amal School for the Deaf.
Okay.
And then, I said, it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Not enough.
So what was next?
I went back to the States and I got my master's degree in deaf education.
Oh. So you had this passion for deaf studies, but you don't have any family members who
No.
are deaf. Nothing. You're
No.
just an outsider
I
who's
just loved it.
interested in this field and you want to give back, right?
Well, one incident that reminded me, when I was in Washington, D.C., in the neighborhood, after I learned about sign language and the deaf, there was this black teenager, and that's one thing that really pulled me to the field.
Yeah.
She was the only deaf kid in the neighborhood.
Oh.
The only deaf kid in
And
the
when she
neighborhood.
knew that I know sign language, she started coming every day.
Every day
showing
to have
up
a
at the
conversation
door
with
after
you.
she
Okay.
finished her school. She comes to the door and we start talking. So I felt like she needed. Her family didn't know sign language. There was no one in the neighborhood knows sign language.
You were a way of communication for her. She can only communicate with you.
That's only me.
Yeah.
So is it true that sign language is different in every country?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
So that's like a big field. Like, I mean, you learn sign language in the States, but now it's different here.
Yeah, each country has its own sign language.
So you first studied ASL, American
Well,
Sign
yeah,
Language,
there I
right?
studied
You studied
ASL, yes,
ASL.
yes.
When did you study the Kuwaiti version?
Here, unfortunately, there's no one here to teach you sign language.
Really?
Yeah.
There isn't?
When
There's no schools,
I
is there?
think I saw
Like
some
This
volunteer
is
groups.
in the back.
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
Okay.
now, yeah,
Yes,
it's fine. You
we
can
have it,
go
okay.
anywhere. You can,
So tell us about back in the day when they didn't have that
back
option.
then. When I came back, actually, and told the director of special education, I have degrees in special education, and he told me, which school you want? And I said, I want the deaf, because we have blind, deaf, we don't have autism, we have mental retardation,
Right.
and there's only
Four schools.
four schools.
Mhm.
And I said, I want the deaf.
You want the deaf
So
school.
when I went there, I didn't know any signs in Kuwait Sign Language.
So how are you gonna teach?
The kids themselves taught me how to use the sign language.
The
Oh.
kids
I-
at the class that
in
you're
the
supposed
class
to
But the
teach.
question is,
were
who is teaching the kids?
Well, at the beginning, you have, they give you a probation period for 2 months.
Okay.
Okay.
So within these 2 months, I worked on myself to learn sign language.
No, but who teaches the kids the sign language?
Themselves.
How?
What?
Yeah.
How? How is that even?
It's a tight community.
So it is.
So
That's true.
one learns and it just
that
spreads
just
to the
spreads
others.
to the others.
If it's a first grader comes in,
Yeah.
it has like a home sign language, not a language.
Made up
just a
sign
home
language.
A
Okay.
made-up sign language.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when he comes to the school, it start
To
mingling with
formal,
the students in the
formally introduce sign language.
Oh yeah.
recesses,
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom.
Yeah. From
So
other
they- so
students,
they
they will
start
teach
learning
each
the
other.
So when you first learned American Sign Language, how easy was it for you to learn it?
How
How easy
easy
was
was
it
it?
for you to learn it, American Sign Language? And then in Kuwait, for learning a new language with the students,
it was
the
easy.
challenges you
No,
felt.
it was easy.
It was
The thing
easy.
is, about sign language, if you learn one sign language,
Yeah.
the second one becomes real easy.
Okay. Are they
Because-
too similar? Are all
No,
the-
they're not similar.
similar.
Completely different.
Okay, but
Because
once you master one,
their culture is different from
okay,
our culture.
okay.
So basically, sign language is based on the culture itself.
Mm.
If you look at the Gulf area, we're similar
Similar.
Okay.
in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Sign language is similar in many ways. So if you go to Oman, you can sign Kuwait Sign Language, they will,
They will understand.
understand how. When you
Yeah.
So I
sign.
guess if it's in Arabic in any country, it would make sense.
Arabic, no Arabic. It's just sign language.
Just sign language.
Because each country has
Right,
their
right,
own
right.
thing. We
Is
don't
there
call them
is
Arabic
there a
sign
uni-
because
is there a universal sign language?
there is one which
Okay.
is called Justino,
Okay.
an international sign.
So this language you can use with anyone.
It's
In theory, in
well,
theory.
yeah, there is,
Yeah.
but they don't use it. The deaf don't use
They
it.
don't use it.
Only at conferences.
Okay,
Ah,
how
You go
how
out
do
of
you-
the conference, you don't use it.
Okay, it's
This
like,
is like, Unwritten law between
It's
the deaf.
like الفصحى.
Fusha, that's what I was gonna say. It's like
Basically,
old
they-
Arabic or old English. No one uses it, but in formal ways they use it.
let me correct this.
Okay.
It's international sign.
Mm.
It's a collective of signs from all over the world.
It's a
not,
mix.
It's not
Okay.
old.
Okay.
They wanted people to know that this sign from this country, this sign, but it's collective sign from each country. It's not. It's
But
not
can
a sign.
any person, a deaf person, understand the sign language?
The international one,
Yeah.
they don't need it.
They don't need it.
They don't really. They don't, because subhanallah, if you're deaf and you're born deaf, there is something in the deaf person that they can learn any sign with ease. If it's something to do with vision and the process in their brain. So if they wanted to learn another sign, or they wanted to communicate with a deaf person from a different country, it'll take them a few minutes a day, most. It'll be easy to just communicate with any deaf
It's easy
Chinese
for them,
person, for
yeah.
example. He
Yeah.
can't communicate with a deaf Chinese person. We can't speak Chinese in one day.
Right.
Impossible. So it's easy for them because they
They grew up. Yeah.
Learning how to process these signs, and they can do it. Fawaz asked me how a sign comes up. How do they create?
How do
a
they
sign?
create the sign? Yeah.
How do they come up with signs for new vocabs?
As I said, because their brain. I told him that their brain is different from our brain.
Okay.
When they wanted to make a sign, they try to see if it fits their mental process and their vision and their kinetic movement. So they put all of these together and they make a sign. If it doesn't fit, they go find another one. There are some hearing people try to create a sign. It would be impossible for a deaf person to accept that because it doesn't fit
It doesn't
in
fit.
their brain, in mental process in brain. So they don't accept that. Anyway, so we go back to the school. This kid taught me how to learn sign language. We used to have a dorm for
Deaf students?
Gulf
Gulf students.
students.
Gulf
Come
students,
to
yeah.
our school and they stay there. So we used to, after we finished school, we spent time with them at the dorm, and so we started learning more signs because it's not enough to learn it in an educational setting because it's limited. But if you go on a social level, you learn more.
I
So
feel
we
like
kept asking them.
it's the same for normal languages. You need practice. You
Yeah,
need
sure.
You need time outside of the class.
I used to have a little book to write everything, learn
Oh,
what
wow.
to sign it, write it, and how it's a lot to memorize.
It is
So
a
you
lot,
need to write
yeah.
it down and then, create some kind of writing system so for you to understand or memorize it.
So, using let's go to nowadays. Is using sign language more common nowadays in Kuwait?
For who?
For everyone, like, is it easier to learn? Easier,
In today's Kuwait.
It's easy to learn if you want to learn it.
if you want to.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair.
Most of the sign we already know.
Okay.
There's two types of sign. We call it iconic and arbitrary.
Arbitrary.
The
and
iconic one is a cup.
Okay.
So it's a cup, you can hold it. So the holding cup,
So you just do this for
and
a
you go
cup?
like that, that's the shape of the cup. So that's iconic.
Yeah, that's the basic
Get
one
the
that we use.
picture of
Like,
the
give me a
sign.
cup of tea, though.
Okay. Yeah.
The sign for the book, you open the book. So these are
True.
iconic signs.
This is
It's
what we
easy
use
to
on our
learn it.
daily basis.
Yeah.
Sorry?
This is what we use on a daily basis when we
Right,
talk to
right.
other people.
But the problem with the arbitrary signs, because
Arbitrary,
these are
yeah.
made by deaf people who wanted to express feelings or
Emotions and
need or whatever they want.
Yeah.
They made up these signs. Now, we don't know how they come up. We don't know who made them.
You got an example? Just one example of these arbitrary? What does that mean?
I don't want.
I don't want.
Yeah. Who came?
Yeah.
I don't want.
I've seen this
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
I've seen this
Okay.
before.
We don't know who made
Wait,
it.
yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
made it
Someone made
because
it.
he wanted to say, I don't want.
I don't want.
It's like no.
Okay. So he made it, and you took it, and
Yeah,
he took it. You
yeah,
went home,
yeah. Everyone
and then
took
he
it.
I'm
started
gonna
spreading
memorize
it.
this.
Yeah,
I don't want it.
I don't want.
Okay, we're gonna continue talking about this,
Yeah.
but right after the break, we'll be back with our guest. So we're back again with our guest, and before we go on a break, we were talking about sign language, and we learned how to say,
I don't
do you know what
want.
that means?
I don't want.
I don't want it. So it's gonna be. I like learning new things. So before we talk more about this, I want to talk about the books on the table.
Yeah.
So what is the story
Why
behind
not?
these
Yeah.
books?
Let's
Um,
see.
I want to take a look.
The first one,
Here's
the
one
black.
for you.
the
Oh, you
black
give me the big one, though.
Big one.
Um,
So this one is.
This one's about
This
theories.
one is. You are the author of this.
Yes.
You made this book.
Yes.
And is it basically gonna teach me the structure of sign language in Kuwait?
basic structure.
Basic
yeah.
structure.
Yeah, I saw there's
Oh,
a
there's,
lot of misunderstanding about sign language,
Right.
Kuwait sign language, and I thought maybe this could help. Anyone.
It's
who
very
wants to
visual
learn.
too, as you can see. You can, learn
Yeah,
from
you can learn the sign
signs
language.
and also the students doing it. It's very visual. I like the visual books that teach us sign language.
See, this one here is about theories and methods, modern methods to teach deaf students. And I love this. And there's in the back it says, this book confirmed that deaf students should not be treated differently from normal students. The Kuwaiti Sign Language and Arabic can be used in school, and that Kuwaiti Sign Language has to be included in the curriculum being taught to students. And I love how this is basically a statement.
It is.
It
It's
is a
mission
statement.
This book has a story.
Tell us.
It's because I saw. I'm still really sad about it. That the kids who graduate from our schools, they can't read and write. And one of the reasons for this is because the method of teaching in our schools doesn't teach them how to write, doesn't teach them how to read. They don't know what methods to use to teach them reading or writing. So it took me about maybe 13 years
Oh wow.
to finish that book, because I put in my experience and my knowledge and my academic background all in this book, and
This,
hopefully
wow,
the
13
teachers-
years for this book, mashallah. Again, this is a
There's a
heavy-
bigger one
it's a
right
bi-
there. Can I take a
Yeah,
look
the
at
ones at the bottom, I don't know what they are. They're wrapped.
it's for little children.
That's the children
It's
deaf
drawing
books.
books.
Okay.
They
Oh, it's
learn sign
coloring
It's
language,
coloring books.
alphabet, and
So if I religiously read this book, I can learn sign language
no, this is how to teach.
to
deaf
teach.
children.
Oh.
So basically,
This is for
how to
instructors.
teach 101.
How
for
to
teachers,
teach
yeah.
deaf. Okay.
For teachers.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
nice.
That
That's
will
nice.
teach you how to. The small one will teach you how
The
to.
small one will
use
teach me how to. Okay.
It's sign language, but I think just the basics. I mean,
The
I'm pretty sure
basics.
sign language is a lot bigger
Yeah.
than that.
But
So,
it's still amazing.
I
You're,
mean, what made you do books, write
I love
books?
sign language.
you love.
I
But-
love sign language.
It just came
It's
from
a
nowhere. It's
beautiful
just you
language.
saw
And
someone.
I love deaf people. My wife is deaf, by the way.
Okay.
So
Oh. Oh, that's a plot twist.
Bless her.
we communicate
Yeah.
sometimes in signs, sometimes we speak.
Okay.
I was telling for what sometimes if we have arguments, if she walks away, I can't talk to her because
Right.
she can't hear me. So I just give up. So I mean,
So
I love deaf people. I love sign language.
this fact you brought up made me come up with this somewhat of a personal question. If you let me ask you a personal question. So you studied deaf studies because of an incident in college, right?
Right.
Were you married then, or you were married after that? And
After.
and did you choose a deaf person, or just happened to be a deaf person?
Well, she was after me.
She was after me.
It's just it's such a great career you
I
had.
hope.
He's gonna face troubles at home.
It's all good. We make jokes
No,
here. It's all
she
good.
wanted to learn sign language.
Right.
I was a teacher of sign language at the school.
And she's Kuwaiti.
And we got to know each other.
Right. That's cool. You love this career so much that you've put yourself into this
He
community.
literally
immersed
dived
himself into
yeah,
that
like
community.
into that community.
That's amazing.
The thing about sign language, it's the deeper you go into it, the more you really amazed how
How
sign
it was
language
created.
It is because
So what is the history of sign language? Where did it come from?
That's a good question. It's
Yeah.
a very good
I
question.
looked into it. If you look at sign language around the world, there must be in any communities there must be a deaf person there.
True.
So sign language there's no history. As long as there are deaf communities within
Within
the
those,
hearing people,
yeah.
they have their own language. In Kuwait, especially before when the pre-war, when they were inside the wall, there were deaf people there, so they have a communication with each other. It was limited to their environment, so it's not big.
Back in the days.
After they opened the deaf school in Sharq in 1959.
1959.
That's the
1959.
first school we ever
60,
had.
For
something
deaf.
like that. In Sharq.
Nice.
They brought in all the deaf,
Students.
it was boys only first. So they
Boys
brought in
only?
Only boys.
That's harsh.
They brought him all in one school.
Okay.
At this moment, the sign language started growing.
Okay.
Because this one brought in his own sign, this one brought in his own
So they
sign.
created
They
that,
all put them
okay.
together and
So
they
each
started
one
growing.
adapted with his atmosphere and
Right.
like his surroundings,
Right.
and created the language that other people would understand.
Have you created signs?
Sorry?
Have you created your own
signs?
signs?
Your
Sign
own
language?
signs?
Like
Did
yeah.
I create it?
Yeah.
Some, yeah.
Some
Sounds?
signs?
Yeah, like what?
Like this one, they didn't have in Kuwait. This is okay.
This is
Okay.
okay.
Oh,
Not this one?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, they have
Well,
okay,
yeah.
okay. But then when I was teaching English in the classroom, and I say okay, they took it from me and
Took it from
they
you.
spread it. Now they say okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I love
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
forbidden
I
to
don't
create a sign for
I
it.
don't know. It's like that.
I don't want.
I don't want to like
I don't want.
do this.
Okay. You've had an exciting career, lots of great stories. I love how passionate you are about deaf studies and sign language. You're very passionate. But where do you get all that passion from? I understand that it was just an incident and it happened and you went
some people
to
find their goals
yeah,
by coincidence.
by coincidence.
I mean, how did you find your goal in life, Ahmed?
That's a different story.
I mean, come on.
I just
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at all the disabilities, deaf people are the only disability that it didn't take or get all their rights.
Okay.
One problem is that sign language, because we don't know sign language. So if he goes anywhere, he has to have an interpreter with him. Now, the number of interpreters in Kuwait is very low
Very
compared.
low.
You
Yeah.
know, the ratio is
Right,
like
right.
Yeah.
400, and you have 6 interpreters or 8 interpreters.
Right, right.
So if they want to go anywhere, they can't communicate. They can't get what they want or their rights because there was no one knows sign language. I'm busy. I'm out of the country. What is he going to do?
Yeah, you cannot rely on one person
Right.
to do
So
everything.
if he knows writing,
That brings me to the topic that before, before the Iraqi invasion, before 1990, Kuwait was the only Gulf country that had a school for
school,
deaf,
right.
deaf
Right.
school, and all the people from different, like all deaf people from the
Right.
Gulf used to come here to study. Can you tell us more about that? How and why, and why do you think in Kuwait we were so advanced that we, created a deaf school? Did we have so many deafs? Is that why?
Before, when they opened the deaf school, when they moved actually from Sharq to Hawali, they built this huge complex, and it was.
But why? Why did we take that step in Kuwait? What do you think made that movement?
I think because Sheikh Sabah Salam, Allah yarhamah, he had a vision to take care of all the disabled people.
Okay.
So he built
He was
this
a
huge
visionary.
complex, and it was one of the top of the art at that time. In the classroom, when you sit in, it was amazing. It was amazing. The student can learn. They were able to communicate. There was an FM system in the classroom, and the teacher would have the FM system with the students, have the FM system with them. They can talk and communicate.
Oh.
There was no sign language.
There was no sign language.
They didn't use sign language then,
Okay.
but they were able to communicate with the teacher, and it's all gone.
I guess another answer to your question is Kuwait is known for being a pioneer in industries and education.
Yeah.
And that's why we really started out deaf schools, I believe. And I was very interested in learning American Sign Language back when I was pursuing my degree. It came from watching a TV show. This show had a lot of deaf characters, and I loved that show. And I just decided to take a class. It was a lot of fun studying American Sign Language. I don't remember much right now, but it was fun at the time.
Yeah, same with you.
Yeah.
My ASL is
ASL, not
one down
that
because
great.
there was
One
no
down.
one-
'Cause no practice.
There's no practice.
You don't practice
There's
a
no
language, you're
Yeah.
definitely
I think that
gonna
happens
lose
with
it.
any
Yeah.
language. If
Any
even
language.
if you're talking and not just using
Yeah,
your
yeah.
fingers or like.
But it was a very fun way to learn about a language. It's different. My own instructor was deaf, so there was no talking in the class. And you have no idea about what they're doing because it's your first time. So it's just a very fun way to teach, especially when the teacher is deaf and there's no way of communicating
Right.
rather than without signing. So it was
So-
pushed me to learn.
Okay, I do have a request here. First of all, I want you to give an advice to the viewers to learn sign language, and then I want you to say that
While
using
signing.
sign
Yeah.
language. Can you do it?
That's easy for you.
Say that again.
So, again, I want you to give an advice to the people to learn sign language and
Okay.
why they should learn it.
Okay.
And then I want you to repeat that.
Sign language.
No, say it at the
sign
same time. You can talk and sign,
You can do it
right?
at the same time. No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's one time. Say it. It's called simultaneous communication.
Simultaneous communication.
Okay.
Simcom.
Yes,
Okay.
you can do this.
That's hard.
Really? For
You
you, I
cannot-
wouldn't think it's hard.
No way.
See, you
Really?
cannot
Why?
do
I'll
both.
tell you
at the
why.
same
Tell you
time.
why. Because you have two grammars together.
Uh-huh.
This is Arabic grammar.
Uh-huh.
This is sign language grammar. You can't mix them.
It's like speaking two languages at the
Yeah.
same time and the same
I
second.
mean, some people can say, "Yeah, I can do it." This
But
has
it's
to be a
not.
computer.
Okay.
Here.
So you want to do one at a time?
Yeah, do it.
I
one
can
at-
do it, but it's not gonna be the grammatically.
No. I want you to say
Wrong.
it in English. I want you to say it in English
I'll
first,
say it in English.
and then use sign language.
Please come and learn sign language. It's very beautiful. The least thing you can do, you can gossip when no one knows about what you're saying.
Gossip.
It's a
All right,
secret
let's
language.
gossip,
That's
you
what I loved
guys.
about it. It's
I mean,
very secret
it's a
language.
beautiful language.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a very expressive language. You can't really just use hands. You
Right.
have to use your whole body, your facial expression. It's beautiful. I really advise people to learn it. I mean, if it's Kuwaiti Sign Language or British Sign Language, Australian, American, whatever, but learn it. make you smarter too.
All right.
No, say that in sign language.
Sign
Okay.
language.
Sorry. Here.
Wow.
At the last, it was like,
It was like-
rock on. Okay.
10 over 10.
What does that mean?
10 over 10.
10
10
over 10.
over 10. I was like, rock
Stop
on.
with the rock and roll stuff. It's 10 over 10.
Great.
Yeah.
So thank you again for bringing that. This is very fun. I love it. Sign language is fun.
It is a lot of fun, but like any other language, you need to put
come
the
on,
time and
it takes time, but this is fun, like using your face,
Yeah,
your expressions,
yeah.
and I love it. So thank you for being
So
with
I,
us.
Thank
I
you
see
for your
you,
time.
See you in a class.
in your class, maybe, hopefully.
Maybe. It's
When's the next class you said? In a few
after
months,
Ramadan,
I think. After
inshallah.
Ramadan.
after Ramadan. Okay.
Nice,
Let's
nice.
do this.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
we'll be
you.
back for the wrap up.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a lovely episode. I got to learn a
It
lot.
was. Like,
Uh,
I don't want
I
this.
don't want, and okay, somehow.
Like,
It's okay.
okay.
Yeah. I wish I learned my ASL. I remember my ASL. It was just one class I took in college, but it was
Just
a
one
fun
class,
experience.
and you keep bragging about it.
I got a text from Fawaz and said, reflect about the time you studied sign language. And I was like, fine.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
So, guess we have to wrap this up.
Yeah. Tune in next time for a brand new guest and more stories right here on The Untold.
Good night.
Good night.